Rightio, people. We're doing the law of one before the veil. So let's see what's going on here. Start from the beginning. Okay, I'm getting guided through this thing. Let's have a look. Before the veil. It's to do with Confederation. Right. 77.17. 46 results found. Category list. Alright, so let's go in from the start. It goes in order, I see. Okay, let's have a read of this. Now, would it be possible for this work of our density to be performed if all of the sub-logo chose the same polarity in any particular expression or evolution of a logos? Let us make the assumption that our sun created nothing but through the first distortion. There was no product except positive polarity. Okay. Would work then be done in fourth density and higher as a function only of this positive polarization evolving from our original creation of sublogos? I am Ra. The elements of this query illustrate the reason I was unable to answer your previous question without knowledge of the logos involved. To turn to your question, right, so logos, what they mean is collection, right? Logos, like a brand. Like each human has its own brand. And the collection of logos is what forms an optimal consciousness in any arrangement, basically. So it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative distortion, it's all positive if you want to look at it from that viewpoint, because it's all oneness anyway. But this is where you learn a bit more. Right. Okay. So a sub-logo I, like I in mathematics is like an increment. Sub-logo I. So sub-logo is like a facet of God. But it still is God. So let's keep reading. The answer here. Yes, the elements of this query illustrate the reason I was unable to answer your previous question without knowledge of the logos involved, right? To turn to your question, there were logo with an I after it, logoi, which chose to set the plan for the activation of the mind-body-spirit complexes through each true color body without recourse to the prior application of free will. Yeah, so they choose to set the plan for the activation of mind-body-spirit complexes. So on incarnation, that's what you choose. Through each true color body. So true color body is a physical body, and the spirit is actually the electromagnetic true color spirit within you. So that's your chakras, like the 7 chakras, the true color body. So that makes your mind body spirit complex with the spirit integration within it, without recourse to the prior application of free will. Yes, because you've chosen to incarnate and it's a free will decision. It is to our knowledge only in an absence of free will that the conditions of which you speak obtain. In such a procession of densities, you find an extraordinarily long, as you measure time, third density, likewise fourth density. Then, as the entities begin to see the Creator, there is a very rapid, as you measure time, procession towards the 8th density. This is due to the fact that no one knows that this is due to the fact that one who knows not cares not. Okay. So if you don't know, you don't care. So there's something to be said for that. So I'm trying to figure out the third sentence. It is, to our knowledge, only in an absence of free will that the conditions of which you speak obtain. Right. Yes, obtain. So that's to do with that doormat thing I was talking about in the absence of free will. Because you're doing, and that's the condition to which you speak, obtain. So you obtain, so by me doing this in a flowing state where I'm in flow and I'm not using logic to make all these decisions, that's the meaningful stuff. That's where your true color body is connected to the divine, right? Yeah. So then as entities begin to see the creator, you actually see the creator in this form because it's not an elusive state. There is a very rapid, as you measure time, procession towards the eighth density. So we talk about 5D here, but we've talked about 6D, 7th D, 8th D. That's also what can happen, basically. We don't like measuring. It's a procession towards the eighth density, but we're not counting here. That's logic. We're not using that when we're doing this sort of thing. This is due to the fact that one who knows not cares not. Absolutely. If you don't know, you don't care. That's about logic. Let us illustrate by observing the relative harmony and unchanging quality of existence in one of your, as you call it, primitive tribes. So this is a very primitive existence, this third dimension Earth existence, right? The entities have the concepts of lawful and taboo. So that's structure. Lawful is structure. Lawful is organization. Lawful is trying to find a moral framework for what humans can operate under that will basically be harmonious for people, that somebody has decided, right? The entities have decided the concepts of lawful and taboo, but the law is inexorable, and all events occur as predestined. So if A happens, B will happen and C will happen. So that is predestined functionality by law, right? So that's predestined. The entities have the concepts of lawful and taboo. So basically, we're here always talking about faggot and wanker and making it disclosed here. So this is not part of really what people have decided is an unspoken law in society. We've gone beyond the concepts of what they've done, and it's basically, I guess, made the whole world more divine by putting out what we're doing, because it doesn't really look socially like what people have done. It's basically free thinking. So there is no concept of right and wrong, good or bad. It is a culture in monochrome. So it's an acceptance-based culture, which is monochrome. Mono meaning one, okay. Chromosome meaning DNA. If you want to call it that way, it's just oneness, basically. And that's the healthiest thing for your soul and for your solar plexus. And it's why a lot of people get problems with their solar plexus, because of the conditions that we've created on Earth that don't allow people to express their solar plexus properly. And that's why a lot of people don't have self-love, right? So this is highly advanced material. In this context, you may see the one you call Lucifer as the true light bringer, in that the knowledge of good and evil both precipitated the mind-body spirits of this logos from the Edenic conditions of constant contentment, but also provided the impetus to move, to work, and to learn. So that's experience, right? So good and evil precipitated the mind-body spirits. Yeah, so we have to have that duality here. of this logo is from the Enlightening conditions of constant contentment. So Enlightening is basically the Lucifer condition of constant contentment, which is what I'm doing here. It's like me bringing light to you, right? So that you can be constantly content, but also provided the impetus to move, to work, and to learn. So I'm a motivator, right? I'm still telling you to do all this stuff. I'm still telling you it's a more harmonious, functional human existence by what I'm teaching you here, where you're still learning through your own experience, but I'm bringing more peace to planet Earth by doing this light work, right? Like the Lucifer. Those logi, whose creations have been set up without free will, have not, in the feeling of those logi, given the Creator the quality and variety of experience of itself, as have those logi which have incorporated free will as paramount. Yes, so we're talking about empaths here, basically. So that's where people's feelings basically control them. So some spirits here are empaths and they get very dictated by their feelings and they have compulsions, right? So they're the sorts of individuals that have the Creator, given the Creator the quality and variety of experience. That is what is in an empath. That's why they are so deep and rich in life experience. Logo I, which have incorporated free will as paramount. So there's some people here where they operate more on logic and not on feeling. And so they're more free will decision making people because it's a different existence for them. So it's like a contrast of different souls here to get maximum benefit from the contrasting elements or logo I, sub-logi basically, within the whole divination platform, which is all the collective human mass on planet Earth, right? Thusly, you find those logo I moving through the timeless states at what you would see as a later space/time to choose the free will character when elucidating the foundations of each logos. So that's basically talking about people working together as a collective mass, and we need all different sorts of people to be able to have the optimal experience. So for an empath to learn more, we have to have the victims with us as well. Sorry, the victimizers with us as well, right? So that's why I'm a wisdom wanker, for example. We all learn, and I'm helping those people as well. So it's like, that's basically the basis of it, okay? A logo is like a brand. So I'm someone that has a logo. You're someone that has a logo. So let's keep reading. I guess under the first distortion, so the first distortion is basically incarnation to planet Earth. That's your first distortion, because the mind, body, spirit is immediately distorted once it incarnates on planet Earth in this density, right? I guess under the first distortion, it was the free will, and that's where we have the duality of free will and freedom of choice, because we're not so... Free spirits are very mainframe, and it's not as it's all about blind faith in the upper realms before you incarnate, and it's not free will as much for that reason, because it's just doing mainframe all the time, and so it's really one decision, and that's why it's such high speed spirit energy. That's why when I woke up from a dream one time, and I'll tell you something really interesting. I could hear my spirit guides' conversations. They were having a conversation about what they should do for my plan, for my life plan. And it was like, that's how they were talking to each other at such high speed and communicating with each other. It happens very, very quickly, because that's what spirit energy is like. They all work together as one, but it's like... And they were talking, I could tell they were talking, but the sentences were that fast above my head. And then they were like, and then the sentences started slowing down, and they were like, Ben can do this, Ben can do that, blah, 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 and they started slowing down so I could hear it, and that's how they communicate, right? It's very dense here, and that's why we don't we can't get, like, we don't know that stuff because it's so dense here, right? But that's what it's like. So this is the first distortion, where we have the free will for that reason because it's slower. So we can make decisions A, B, C in 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. It was the free will of the logos to choose to evolve without free will. Is this correct? This is correct. So if you're an empath, it's just faster moving energy. Because you are more connected, you're more divinely connected as an empath. In the earth realm. You're probably here to be a healer, by the way. Maybe. Next question. Do the logo I that choose this type of evolution choose both the service to self and service to others path for different logo I, or do they just choose one of the paths? The answer. Those what you would call early logo I, which chose lack of free will foundations, to all extents with no exceptions, founded logo I of the service to others path. Yes, so choosing lack of free will is more fluid vibration, spirit energy, and they chose the service to others path before we incarnated. So before I incarnated on planet Earth, I made an agreement and I said I chose to be a leader before I even incarnated. So that's what happened, like before I even incarnated. So my soul's DNA was basically meant to be for doing this work. The, shall we say, savior of polarity, its consequences and limits were unimagined until experienced. So polarity, the saga of polarity, its consequences and limits were unimagined until experienced. Yes, because it's a creative life experience. And so until it's experienced, you have a soul plan, obviously, and you have DNA characteristics, but it's not in concrete. We actually create it while we're here. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, basically, with what you do with your life purpose, and it's up to you. It's your choice. You get to choose, as well as be free-flowing under God and your angels. In other words, all right, next question. In other words, you are saying that originally the logo I that did not choose this free will path, that's why, I think I said it before, that's why it's a doormat plan, like with what God said in the law of attraction by the divine true entity, because that's what it is. I hate using the word water, but it's like water. Because it's the path of least resistance, right? You've got the floodgates open and the stream is running, and the energy stream is running. So in other words, you were saying that originally the logo I that did not choose this free will path, did not choose it simply because they had not conceived of it, and later logo I, extending the first distortion farther down through their evolution, yes, experienced it as an outcropping or growth from that extension of the first distortion. Am I correct in saying that? I am right, yes. So that means basically, when you first incarnate on Earth, you haven't had enough life experience yet to basically, and so you're still impacted by the density here a lot before you basically grow through experience. So then you come out of your shell. So that's what they're talking about, outcropping. So more of your soul is harvested as you are moving through the earth realm, right? Because a higher potential of your soul is being utilized as you learn from wisdom or growth from that extension of the first distortion. So extension from the first distortion. So you grow from that contrast. And as an empath, it's heavy contrast. That's why a lot of people get born who are sensitive into difficult families, so that they get the different experience to be able to have the empathy for people, to be able to learn through experience, to be able to grow, and to be able to help people as well. So that's what happens. And it makes you a strong soul, a strong independent soul. Right, next question. Now, there are several general concepts that I would like to be sure that we have clear before going into this process, and I will certainly adhere to the requests that you have just stated. Okay. This is still the questioner asking the question. Excuse me. When our logos designed this particular evolution of experience, before you incarnate, and during the incarnation, your soul plan still gets adapted, by the way, because it's co-creation. So when our logos designed this particular evolution of experience, it decided to use the system of which we spoke, creating or allowing for polarization through total free will. How is this different from the logos that does not do this? I see the logos creating the possibility of increase in vibration through the densities. Let me ask first, how are the densities provided for and set up by the logos, if you can answer this? Right, so here's the answer. I am Ra. This shall be the last full query of this working. The psychic attack upon this instrument has, shall we say, left scars which must be tended, in our own opinion, in order to maintain the instrument. That's getting in and out of the platform. So it's basically saying if you're a really sensitive person, you get psychic attack. That's why empaths, that's why Jayu's spirit guides berate him all the time, that psychic attack. Left scars which must be tended. So basically those scars, you learn from them when you get back into the platform, and it's like a roller coaster, an up and down roller coaster. And when you get more wise, it actually balances out over time, and that's when more of your soul is harvested for humanity, because you're of higher value to basically teach people. That's why I'm sitting here in front of a camera all day. Okay, must be tended, in our own opinion, in order to maintain the instrument. So that's, you cannot basically be berated to death. So the scars must be tended in order to maintain the instrument. Otherwise, you would just be a mess, wouldn't you? So to maintain the instrument, so it maintains like a living state. That's why I've never wanted to commit suicide, because like my soul wouldn't want to go down. Like, no offense to people or to families who have lost people by suicide, but my own personal choice is I know inherently that that's like. Perhaps it's my own conscience, obviously, and free will decisions. I haven't done that, even when I've been really depressed, even though sometimes it did get bad in my past, because I am that sensitive person, okay? So the next part of the answer here, let us observe your second density. Many come more rapidly to the third density than others, not because of an innate efficiency of catalysts, but because of the unusual opportunities for investment. Okay. In such a way, those fourth density may invest third, those of fifth may invest fourth. Yes, because you need to go back a bit to springboard back up, basically, is what that means. So if you're in fourth density, you can go back to the third density, okay? And if you're in fifth density, you can go back to the fourth density, or dimension, basically, is what they're saying. Because when fifth density has been obtained, the process takes upon itself in a momentum based upon the characteristics of wisdom when applied to the circumstance. Absolutely. So if you're in 5D, you've got enough wisdom to stay there and not go back. And that's when you're actually fixated in 5D. Because it's got this vibrational momentum to it where it can't reverse and go back again. Because you're too smart, you're too wise, and you stay there. So when you encounter a circumstance, you apply wisdom to it straight away, and your vibration doesn't get affected because you've gotten too wise. The logos itself, then, in these instances, provides investment opportunities, if you wish to use that term. Investment means like wisdom opportunity. It means energy investment, I would say, a spiritual, cellular level I'm getting investment, cellular level investment, because by the time you've gotten to 5D, your DNA has basically transmuted to a point where you're vibrating at a point where it's natural to, it's physiological also. It's not just wisdom, because wisdom and the application of it changes your body's physiology and your cells to where it actually does it automatically. And it's a mind, body, spirit complex for that reason. It's integrated. So it's not just all in your mindset, it's actually physiological, and it all works together, the mind, body, spirit complex. So that's how it, it's intuitive once you're in 5D. You don't need to think about applying wisdom to circumstances, because it's just an intuitive knowing. You just know. And some of the alien races and advanced races are actually, they operate that way, where it's just an unspoken law, where it's just known. Just like walking, how people don't think about it, right? May we inquire if there are any brief queries at this space and time? No. Any more? Just keep going. Okay, good. This is good. Now, second density, I might add, is light and dark. Okay, that's your free will duo, right? That's the first distortion from a dense atmosphere. Third incorporates space and time, so we've got added elements into it. Fourth is more a spiritual component of the density, and it's more of a perception. That's the fourth density. Fifth is about love in being of service to others. That's service to others, right? So that's another element beyond that, and that's part-based intelligence wisdom, right? So that's your four that we have here on planet Earth, right? Some people say it starts from 3 and goes to 5, but that's what you've got. Now, next question. Now I realise that we are on very difficult ground, you might say, for precise terminology here, since it is totally displaced from our system of coordinates for evolution in our present system of language. Right, I'll be back in one sec. Right, I'm going to keep reading this. Now, I realise that we are on very difficult ground, you might say. Sorry, I'm rereading it. For precise terminology here, since it is totally displaced from our system of coordinates for evaluation in our present system of language. System of coordinates, because that's what humans have created to try and make sense of things, right? It's a logistical framework, and this material is displaced from what humans understand as part of their framework. Because they're using very precise terminology. So let's see what the answer they have is. It's still part of the question. These early logo that formed in the center of the galaxy wish, I assume, to create a system of experience for the one creator. There's no one system, because we're all individual facets of the creator. That's why I talk about amazing wisdom from my independent standpoint. That's why someone else will talk about another methodology for what they see the creator, and another person will for what they see the creator, because the divine is working through different people, giving different frames of reference to form a comprehensive understanding when a person gets all of these different people's wisdom, right? And then they grow through getting their light bulb moments and putting pieces together of the puzzle. Well, that person said this person said this person talks about amazing wisdom. And now I'm getting it, in my own form, and I'm evolving as a soul because I'm learning wisdom. And this is how we all get stronger and just bounce off of each other, right? So, those who are interested in this anyway, that like learning about it. So, to create a system of experience for the one creator, this is the system through different people. Did they then start with no previous experience or information about how to do this? This is difficult to ask because this was back in the 80s as well, right? Um, but they're good questions, aren't they? I am Ra. At the beginning of this creation, or as you may call it, octave, there were those. So that's talking about, the octave is talking about eighth dimension. There were those, and that's the black hole. And that's where all creation comes from. It's from a black hole. You know what's really interesting? I will talk about this. That's why there's strong light where the black hole is, because it's different, and that's why light separates out from dark. But the light ray is really strong, and they call it a sun in this because that's what it's like. So when there's a higher degree of dark in a black hole, opposites enhance each other, so there's a higher degree of light, and they're completely separate. That's why Archangel Michael is so precise, concise, sharp, because he's experienced enough through experience to know. Like he's very sharp, masculine energy for that reason, because of that sort of contrasting element, right? So opposites enhance each other, people. That's why that's why. Yeah, I think you know. All right. Next. Right, at the beginning of this creation, or as you may call it, octave, there were those things known which were the harvest of the preceding octave. Absolutely. So I am a preceding octave, right? And I'm getting my intuition from the light, which is in 8D, right? Because that's where my spirit guides are. So there were those things known which were the harvest of. So this is my spirit being harvested by delivering this information to you, right? So at the beginning of this creation, as you may call it, octave, there were those things known which were the harvest of the preceding octave. Absolutely. So this video is the harvest of the preceding octave. And that's what's known. That's the information platform that I'm doing now. That's what's known. So that's what you're learning from, all right? About the preceding creation, we know as little as we do of the octave to come. Yes, because it's all proceeding one after the other, like dominoes. It's a domino effect. However, we are aware of those pieces of gathered concept, which were the tools which the Creator had in the knowing of the self. Yes, that's right. So through the life experience, you know the self, and the tools the Creator uses to give me different insight, like the word different, to teach people, to teach me, which I then teach people, right? So, or amaze him, right? And the duality, that's also part of the tool. So everything we have here is part of the tool in the knowing of the self. So we're aware of that, right? These tools were of two kinds. I think this is where we're going. Firstly, there was an awareness of the efficiency for the experience of the mind, body, and spirit. Secondly, there was an awareness of the most efficacious nature, if you will, significator of the mind, body, and spirit. Thirdly, there was the awareness of the two aspects of the mind, body, and of the spirit that the significator could use to balance or catalyst. You may call these two the matrix and the potentiator. Okay, so the matrix is about logic, right? The potentiator is about applying the logic and moving forward in main freight. That's what it is. So it's Bilo, wisdom, and main freight wisdom working together. Matrix is Bilo, or a framework, or logic. Potentiator is, oh, this is what I can do with it. I've got this new idea, now I'm going to main freight. So the two work in tandem. Um, yeah, it actually goes deeper than that, but that's the two that I want to touch on. Right. That was Jokeman that just gave me that. So there you go. Um, Then we have at the beginning of this galactic evolution an archetypical mind that is the product of the previous octave, which then the galaxy then uses and acts upon under the first distortion of free will to evolve the total experience of this galaxy. Is this correct? I am Ra. This is quite correct. There you go. I think that's all they want. Yep, that's it.